tree? Or are you just happy to see me? Oh, I'm under the mistletoe.
Becky, the office party drunk girl, she's lit up brighter than the tree. Just watch and see.
Mr. Stevens, is that your wife? She's so young. Is this punch spiked?
Welcome to Broadscast.
I remember that now. Not me. It's not me.
Kim, the office party drunk girl. Hey, happy holidays. You are listening to Broadscast, and we're going to have a fun little day today.
Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Kim Goldman.
Hi, Jackie McDougall.
How are you?
I'm feeling amped today.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know that sometimes on our show we talk about dreams.
Yes, we do.
So,
mostly yours.
My crazy dreams. I had a dream. I had a dream that. So if you've listened to the show before, you know that I have a kid that plays basketball, and so last night in my dream we went to a basketball game, and my son was playing in the game, and you and I, Jackie and I, have a mutual friend, Renee Bowen, who does our photo shoots and everything. So Renee was in my dream, and Renee was the ticket taker and the entry lady to like take money when you come into the game. But her table and our voiceover guy Andrew, they were both there together, and they were at the table, and the table was underneath the basketball hoop, but like off like on the baseline. So okay. So during the game, they're playing, and it's crowded in there. And my kid, for whatever reason, he got fouled, but he had 7 free throws to shoot. I don't know why, but he had 7 free throws.
Got it.
So he couldn't shoot the free throws because there were too many people underneath the basket because they were buying tickets and they were coming in. So they had to do a makeshift basketball hoop. Now, granted, in hindsight, why didn't they just go to the opposite side of the court? We'll never know because this is my crazy dream. So Sam proceeded to have to shoot meatballs into little like Fisher Price tabletop basketballs, you know, like when you can flip a ball to the other, like you can on your table. So he had to shoot actual meatballs into those little plastic hoops on the table in front of Renee. As people are walking by, so he hit one girl in the head with the meatball. He got 2 of his 7 shots, with the silly meatballs. And I was thinking how upset I was watching this because that's not fair. And so then when the shots were done, Renee says, "Kim, you owe us $70." I'm like, "Wait, why do I owe you $70?" And she says, "Well, it's 10 tickets a free throw, and tickets are $10 each." I'm like, "But he was fouled in the game. Why should I have to pay you for the free throws?" And she said, "I don't know." And then Andrew's like, "Yeah, my screen says $70 too." And I was like, "What the heck? I have to pay?" So it was this very ridiculous.
Wow, I don't even know where to start.
I have no idea. So I was telling my son this morning. He's like, "Why were you dreaming of basketball?" He's like, "Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?" And I'm like, "Dude, my brain is all consuming."
The funny thing is that's the part that he thinks is weird.
Right, that I'm dreaming about basketball, not that he was shooting
meatballs and our favorite photographer in the world.
I know.
And our favorite voiceover guy.
The photographer part was right before I went to bed. Renee posted a picture on Facebook.
Yes,
of an image of my son and I from Sam's bar mitzvah.
Yes,
so that was just in my.
And
head.
I was wondering who in that picture looked more 13.
Aw.
You look so young.
I do look young. Yeah, I do. I do look young. I mean, we both do. We don't look our ages.
Oh, please.
I'm serious. I don't think. Anyway, we're getting off track. We can focus on that. But anyway, so
no, you're the prettier one.
Pretty.
No, you're so pretty.
You're pretty. Anyway, so yeah.
Wow, that's
messed
an interesting
up.
one.
Like I can picture it in my head, and there was like a girl walking by, and he pinned her in the head with
with a meatball.
Yeah, and so I'm like, do over.
I don't even know. Yeah. You know, this is something we do regularly. So if you like to interpret dreams, hit us up because I'm curious.
Or if you'd like to admit me to a place with added walls.
So I also had a very vivid dream this morning. I actually went to bed at like 8:30 last night. I was so tired. Yeah. But I had a dream that my husband, so our anniversary was this week, and I had a dream that we were renewing our vows. But for some reason, we invited like hundreds of
I didn't mean to
people.
start
Yeah,
joking.
I know. You almost did a spit take over
I
there.
didn't mean to. Sorry.
But we invited like so many people, like hundreds of people, to come to our vow renewal.
Yeah.
And, I don't know that you do that at 14 years. I think it was actually our 15th in my dream. And it was the day of. I was all ready to go. I had Dean, my hair god, ready, in action. And it suddenly occurred to me, because I was going to wear my dress, my gown that I wore when we got married. And it suddenly occurred to me that would never fit me. And so all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, I have all these people coming. I don't have a gown. Like, what do I do? So I was going to head over to like Bloomingdale's or something to get a gown for my vow renewal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
what did you wear? Did you go naked?
No, I woke up.
Oh. Wah, wah, wah.
But, I was saying to my husband, I'm like, I think maybe that dream, if you were to interpret it, just means I'm still in love, but just fat. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. So anyway, to go back to that song that we played as our intro, when Jeff, my husband, and I have a little bit of time on our hands, like we used to back in the day, we write songs. And that was Becky, the Office Party Drunk Girl.
Right. I didn't remember. I know. I think I know I've heard that before, but I did not remember it from the. Oh my God! I like.
Oh my God, I love eggnog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. That's hilarious.
So I just had a couple glasses of wine and stood in front of a microphone and just started like spewing those things off.
Yeah.
And he put them in the song. So anyway.
And that's Jeff's beautiful voice singing.
Yeah. Well,
and,
he's so talented. Like he writes songs and comes up with cool stuff. And I just yell things in the microphone. So
yeah.
Anyway.
I could do the wine part. So next time you guys have a brainstorming songwriting session.
It happens.
I could play spoons.
Could you?
Yeah.
My dad used to play spoons.
I lied. I can't even play spoons.
Yeah, he would do like the spoons, and he would do it on his elbow.
Oh my God!
My dad used to play banjo.
I was just gonna say, like, I could do a washboard thing. Ding, ding, ding. No, I can do triangle.
Yeah,
I used to play the flute.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
You should.
Okay.
Okay. So, I came in here like a wrecking ball.
You did.
Yeah.
You came in like you were a little Miley Cyrus when you showed up. I made a purchase. A holiday purchase for yourself?
Holiday purchase for myself. Well, yes. I bought my house 14. My God. Oh my gosh. How many years? 14 years ago. I think I've been living in my house. So I decided that my appliances have started to go down the other side of the hill. So I can't just change one because they're white. And if I change one to stainless steel, then I got to change them all. So I convinced myself that I needed to get new appliances. So I researched and I measured and I hemmed and hawed and I waited and I took great lengths to make sure that I bought I read the reviews. I asked around. I mean, I really...
You were like a walking Consumer Reports.
Which is what I normally do. It's a big purchase. And so I went in, I bought the stuff. I waited patiently for a week. I waited 6 hours yesterday for the delivery, which came an hour after the window.
Why is the window like...
Well, the window's 9 to 1:30, and they showed up at 2:15.
9 at Monday.
Yeah.
To 1:30 on Friday.
Right. It's 9:30 to 1:30, yet they showed up at 2:15.
Of course they did. Okay.
Besides that, so anyway, long story short, the dishwasher, gorgeous. The oven, gorgeous, although it does not fit properly because there is a little fan that protrudes out the back of the oven, which hits directly to the gas line that comes out of my wall, which I did not take into consideration when I measured the flipping thing. So that is 3 inches off the wall. The refrigerator, I'm not exactly sure what happened with the refrigerator, but it comes off my wall about 5 inches.
Is it a counter depth refrigerator?
Well, if I knew what that was when I made the purchase, I'd be able to answer you now. But apparently it is not counter depth.
Oh, okay.
So that was my one bad, painful mistake. So what continued to happen is I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, this doesn't fit. And he's like, well, you've got 48 hours to change your mind. I'm like, oh, 48 hours. That's what the lady at Home Depot told me. I have 48 hours.
Yay.
And on my piece of paper, it says 48 hours, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, oh, I've got time to figure this out. I had Home Depot on the phone. I was ready to talk to them. And then the guy's like, no, you just call our office and tell them the situation. I'll write it on your note. I'll take notes. And I'm like, okay, 48 hours. I got this. So I call Home Depot when the guy leaves, and the lady on the phone, sweet Janie, she says, no, Kim, I told you 48 hours to change your mind if if there's a issue with it, like if it doesn't turn on or doesn't work properly or it makes noise or if there's damage. I'm like, what?
Well, then why did the delivery man say that?
Because the delivery man doesn't care what I do. They just want to be done with the job.
Done. Yeah.
So, but 48 hours is if there's an issue, not if I had a issue with my ability to measure. Like, that's not their fault. Like, so I literally started crying on the phone. I was like, oh my God, this is a really expensive mistake. And I was so upset. I was so looking forward. I was so excited. I was proud. And now I'm like looking at my gigantic refrigerator that does not fit. And I'm like, how am I going to be okay with this? So I called and I kept calling and I was complaining and I really took full responsibility for my mistake. I'm like, the only thing I don't take responsibility for is the oven because there's nothing in anywhere that says like the back.
Okay.
Like, okay. Anyway. And then when they pushed the oven in, they dented the back of it. Oh. So there's my loophole. But the refrigerator.
I love that you call it a refrigerator.
Right. What's it called?
It's called a refrigerator.
Oh. Well, why bother with the re? So the refrigerator. So my one thing that I made the decision to purchase this last minute, I changed my mind at the last minute to get this particular refrigerator, is because there was a gallon size bin on the door. Like I wanted to be able to put my milk in the door for the first time.
Right.
But there is no gallon size bin on the door.
Wait, it says that there's a gallon size?
Yes, but the bin is not gallon size.
What size is it?
Not gallon size, like skinny
Like
salad dressing size.
Oh, really?
It's really
Oh.
skinny. So when I called the lady back at the store, who apparently she's like the god at Home Depot who can make things happen, she's like, wait, is it dented in the back of the oven? I said, yes, it is. She's like, okay. And I said, and by the way, on the refrigerator, the door, blah, blah, blah. And she says, okay, I'll call you back. So I'm still a little upset and disappointed in myself. And she calls me back and she says, we'll take it back. We'll make the switch for you. But you have like 5 minutes basically to purchase a new one because the sale ends. So in that 5 minutes, I'm rushing to an event for work that I'm going to be in like out of commission for like the next 4 hours. So at 1 minute to 10, I ran into Home Depot last night and my lovely sales lady was still there. She remembered everything. We looked it up. And by 10:05 last night, I purchased a new, more expensive refrigerator, the counter depth one.
Oh, yes. Why is counter depth more expensive?
Because it's more shallow.
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
There's less fridge.
Yes, which, well, I kept saying like it doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Right.
Whatever it is. So
Isn't it amazing though? I mean, I bet some of our listeners could relate to like, doing all the work and then there's always something. Like you go to buy something and you bring it home and you're like, "Ugh." Like the other day, like my curtain rods didn't come with the hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was looking at it and I just was mad at myself. Like I'm like, I have nobody to blame except me. Like and it's not like I'm dumb, but like, and so I was upset. Like I was just, I was so excited to use my new refrigerator and like my new oven. And now I've got like an oven here and a refrigerator there. And then I have one.
When are they coming to get them?
December 15th. So they told me don't use the new refrigerator. I know. So it's all taped up still. So
Wait, I have.
Oh, Jackie.
Oh, that was the wrong one. Here we go.
Kim, come on.
Oh my gosh. So I'm telling you this morning, and I said, this is reason number, and I paused, and you said that you need a man. And I really did have that moment last night where I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I need another brain.
And what did I say?
It wouldn't have helped in your household.
No, there's just no guarantee that it wouldn't have gotten by both of us.
No, so it made me start thinking.
But yeah, I
night,
totally understand what
It made
you're
me start
saying.
thinking last night and this morning that it's not necessarily that I am incapable. I did all of the steps. I mean, I did what I thought was everything. But there is a little part of my brain that just can't possibly think of everything. I mean, I just right. And so I sat there. I'm like,
it'd be nice to have some backup.
It would be nice to have some backup. And not the lady on the phone going, Kim, but I told you to call me. I'm like, but I thought I was doing it. When I went into the store last night.
Are you going to her house for Christmas now?
I gave her a hug in the store. I think she thought I was insane, but I really was like, I was so appreciative. And and as I was walking out, she said, it was very sweet. She said, see, sometimes good things do happen to good people. And it was just a moment that I was like, oh, I told the truth. I was honest. Like, I didn't try to, and it was like, somebody really went the extra mile to help me out because it's, like, I have a piece of paper that's.
Wait, I have to ask this though. Did you think she knew who you were?
No, I don't know if she knew that. It is very possible, but she'd said to me, "Where were you coming from?" Because I was sweating and I was running, and I was like, "Oh, I was working." She's like, "Well, what do you do?" And I told her what I do for a living, and I said, "But tonight, I don't know if people know. No, it's
people don't know what you do. It sounds like you're a stripper or something.
Well, I was just going to say, so I run a nonprofit agency. We provide free counseling to teenagers, which is amazing. I've been doing it for 12 years in our community. But every couple of months, there's schools do this campaign called Every 15-Minute Campaign, and it's a simulated drunk driving event, and it's really powerful and heavy and emotional. And,
right. It's at night?
The debrief is at night.
Okay.
So the program runs all day long, and these kids that participate in the program are immersed in like death and destruction and trauma all day long. And it's really difficult. So then my agency, myself, I work with them at night to kind of process all their feelings. And so it's a long night. And it's a long night of storytelling and sharing
heavy.
and really heavy. And so I was telling her that she was asking me questions at Home Depot, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. My brain is just like in death mode. And she's like, what? And I told her what I did. And so we were just kind of talking about it. And so she said, see, it was just a moment of like, oh, wow, people can go out of their way for other people. And I appreciate it because they didn't have to help me at all. I was very clearly told the rules with regard to my purchase. I just interpreted it. Interpreted it.
I just imagine how the woman felt when at Home Depot when her customer told her brain was in death mode. I'm sorry.
Over a refrigerator?
You're like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, I'll just give you whatever you want.
The funny part about this lady, she's super sweet. She still has like a refrigerator from the 70s. She still like makes her ice in the little tray that you have to like click it.
Ice tray, yes.
And so she remembered me. She remembered my, like, it was just a moment where I was
She's adorable.
Yeah. So super badass Janie.
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
So I mean, it was.
Does she have like little polyester pants on with a?
No, she's like a little ponytail. She's an older woman, and it just was a moment that I was like, you know what? I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I told the truth.
Janie's like your surrogate mama.
She was for last night, but I don't know. It was a moment, and I just recognized a lot of things about myself, but like I also in that moment was like, I need to. Yeah. I just.
So Kim is single. Ready to mingle, but yeah. I mean, yeah. I hear you. I'm not going to try to go. No, you don't need a man. Like, I think you know what. Let's talk about this for a second because it used to be like women need a man. You need a man. Like, do you have a boyfriend? I remember when I was single. It was like, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a boyfriend? Like, that was. It didn't matter if I moved across the country. It didn't matter if I was succeeding in my career. Like, it didn't. Do you have a boyfriend? You know, it was like it was always. And now I feel like we flipped so far on the other side with. And I don't even want to say feminism because feminism by definition is equal rights. Yeah, of course. Who doesn't believe in that? So,
President-elect
Trump. Sorry. Who reasonable doesn't believe in that? However, we are like, it's being shoved down the throats of our daughters and of ourselves that you don't need a man. You don't need a relationship. You don't need... that you need to be alone and be independent, and like, can't you do both? Of course, life is nice when you get to share it with somebody.
Right.
Why are we pretending?
This is actually a fantastic segue that we did not plan for into something.
Hell, we didn't plan any of this.
I know, but I wanted to bring. So you and I talk about that a lot, but I have this conversation a lot about like needing, wanting. What's the difference? So. You know, last night it wasn't so much as like needing a man. It was like, I want, right? So I had a conversation with this person yesterday. We were just having a conversation about exactly this, equal rights and chivalry. I don't even know how it came up in the conversation. And I said, like, chivalry is really important to me. And I said, it's not a deal breaker when I meet somebody, but it's an important quality. And he said, do you know where chivalry stems from? And I paused for a second and he said, I don't want to lecture you. He said, but it basically stems from men thinking that women couldn't take care of themselves. Like they were idiots. They weren't strong enough. And he said, so I think it's really interesting that what it's perceived as now, and we ended up having this conversation about like whether women can do it, whether they can't. The women that are like, don't open the door for me, I can do it myself, but why aren't you opening the door for me because I'm a lady? Like, and the conflict that women have, but then that men, like, how do they function in there? And so we had this long conversation. I said, there is a very fine line with someone wanting to do for me because they are caring about me versus wanting to do for me because they don't think I can do it myself. And that's
yeah, but don't you think that as women, we're putting men in such a weird position? They're like between a rock and a hard place. Like, okay, so I have to check my feelings of whether I'm doing this for you because I think you can't do it versus because I think I would like to do it for you. Like, right. So I'm not going to offer to open that jar for you because I feel like you can't do it and I don't want to offend you. Like, I'm so tired of it.
Right. And so this is what we were going back and forth, and it was a really interesting conversation to hear from a man's perspective, like the struggle that he has. And I said, as I've gotten old, as an aside, I was raised with two men. So I was raised to like have the door open, ladies first. Like, my dad always taught me that men walk on the outside of the street to protection. So I was raised with it being an empowering thing, and a protective thing, not an incapable. Mm-hmm. So, but as I've gotten older, and because I've been independent for such a long time, there are moments where I'm like, I got this, but that's my own stuff. That's
absolutely.
So that was a couple of years ago.
I want to hear from some ladies and some men on this one too. Sorry.
Yeah, but I am curious because as I've become more sophisticated and more mature, it is my confidence now that allows me to say, you know what? Yeah, open that door for me. Pull out that chair for me, like, because I want to be treated like a lady, and I know I can handle it, and I don't need to keep proving to you. I want somebody to like take the lead, and I'm like, I don't want you to order dinner for me because I'm very particular, and I got that, and I think that's kind of obnoxious, but I do want. It was just
unless like here's the I mean, if somebody goes to do something out of kindness on either side, thank you.
But if you don't know that I dated someone a long time ago that didn't do it out of kindness, did it out of arrogance, and
well, then don't be dating that person.
But you don't know that all the time. Like, so I'm saying, like, it is a total balance. So then my friend says to me, he says, I have a question for you. And he said, what is the equivalent of chivalry for a woman? For a man.
Right.
So do you have any answers to that?
Well, it's funny because like last night I was going to make dinner for the kids, and I don't know about other households, but not every night is like a gourmet meal. I mean, sometimes like my husband, first of all, is a very, very picky eater. And so he doesn't like onions. He doesn't like any vegetable really, except for broccoli and spinach. And he says corn, but let's be honest.
That's interesting. By the way, if you're just tuning in, this is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall. We're having a random conversation. But really, it's funny that he likes broccoli and spinach, which are actually very bitter.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
So anyway, he so he's a very picky eater. He gets home from work at 7. Sometimes he's going to taekwondo class. So it's not like I'm making these huge family meals, right? So every night, because I don't know what's going on.
Unless we have Blue Apron.
Yes. I love to cook with Blue Apron. You know this. But I usually do that on the weekends because it arrives on Friday. Right. So he, I don't always make a meal. And sometimes I don't even consider like what he's going to eat that night because I don't know what his schedule is or if he's going to class or whatever. But, I'll ask him like, do you have any thoughts about dinner or blah, blah, blah? What's your deal? Right. So sometimes he comes home and has a bowl of soup. It's not like he's just not that guy.
Right.
I grew up where the wife makes the big meal every night. And so I really enjoy like providing a home cooked meal for my family, from scratch. So last night I made a baked pasta type thing. I like, with some turkey and beef and ground and and like made a nice little, cause I have to make sure my kids get enough protein, but I made this meal and he came home and he didn't know if he was going to go to class or not. And, things like that, like make me feel good. Like he's got a basket full of clothes that he has not put away. And I'll probably go up today and put them away. And so little things like that. It's funny because there's that love language test. Oh God, it's so old. And I think we talked about this before, but where, we'll have to pull that up actually and put it on our website. But, it's like how you can really determine how you and your partner see love.
Right.
And is it through like gifts? Is it through words? Is it through acts of like chores, not chores, but like,
right.
And for me, it's totally through little things like that, like filling up my car with gas, you know, like going out and like things like that. But his are more words and time spent together. But with 3 kids and 2 jobs and stuff like that, we don't always get that. So I try to, you know,
so
I kind of went off topic a
but
little
we were
bit,
talking
but
about like what is chivalry? What's the woman version of chivalry?
I think for me, it's like knowing the stuff he does not want to do in life, in tasks and things like that, and doing them for him. Like, it's not that he can't, he doesn't want to. Like, and I refuse to even consider when I'm walking into a mall, if a man holds the door for me, if he's doing it because I can't, or if he's doing it because he's kind. I don't care. Hold the door. But I think as human beings, we need to do nice things.
Yeah, So the emotional, the chivalry thing, I sat there and I was like, I don't think I've ever been asked that question, like in that way. And so I sat there and I'm like, I think emotion for me is my version of chivalry, and it's emotional support. Because because for me, it translates the same way that it does for a man in terms of like protection. For me, it's like protection of your heart. Like, I'm going to take good care of your feelings and your thoughts. And for me, it's all wrapped up in the emotion. And that leads to,
is it also building up his ego a little bit?
You know what? It's the same struggle that a man has with how he shows his support with a woman. Like, what are they capable of, and what can they do, and what's a helper, and what's you're incapable. Like, I always use the story of, and you know who I'm talking about, of a person that wanted to change my toilet seats years ago. And he was adamant that he wanted to change my toilet seats. And I was like, okay, he has feelings about needing to be the man, and he wants to fix and help me. And so I let those stupid toilet seats sit on the floor for literally like 6 weeks, and I was sitting on an unbalanced toilet seat because I wanted to let him feel manly, because that was important to him.
See, it was like a marriage right there.
Right, but like, I sat there and I'm like, okay, that's my emotion, that's my chivalry for him, like giving him that emotional security and that safety, whatever that he needed, right? And his chivalry was trying to take care of the toilet, and I'm just like, well, dude, didn't take care of it, like, but it was.
He's like, this is how husbands do it. You don't have to nag me every 6 months.
But it dawned on me, like, I think that for me, because I know that I'm a caretaker and a nurturer, and it's the same thing. Like you're saying, I know my husband, and I know that he didn't like to put the laundry away. Like, I would love to have somebody come in my house and put my laundry away, seriously. Right? But like, for me, if it were a partner, it would be how can I support you? What do you need? How can I be a cheerleader for you? Like, and I think that's my version of chivalry, like how to open the proverbial door for them, but from an emotional place.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it was just an interest. I really had never had anybody ask me that.
Right.
And it just made me really like think about,
you and this friend have very interesting conversations.
Yeah. But
is it a single male friend?
It is a single male friend.
Okay. As she tosses her scarf over her shoulder.
But it just was interesting, that how people's brains work, but the constant like check and balance, and like making sure that needs are being met. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. The older you get as a single person, it is just hard to let someone come into your world and not feel like they're challenging you, as opposed to supporting you and like making it better.
Right.
Like, it's really,
because when we meet new people, it's like we each bring all of our baggage and all of our stuff into that relationship, whether it's romantic or not.
Right. And people are like, oh, I don't have baggage. Everybody has baggage. Like, we just do. Like,
Absolutely.
And so, I was thinking that when you meet somebody, whether it's a friend or a romantic situation, you have your own stuff. Yep. And learning how to balance your own stuff with, I mean, you and I talked about that with our relationship with doing the show, like how to read each other and how to understand each other, and how to support and speak our mind but not offend. Like, those are friendships. And if you care, you pay attention to that stuff, right? So it's just, I don't know, it was just a
Well, it's very interesting, and it goes back to, I find that women are doing each other a disservice by I think it's very natural, whether you're a man or a woman, to want to love and be loved and to want to do for others and have done for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're constantly, there's a former guest or a guest of our show and on Facebook was writing about something and she despises being called girl, and it was she was talking about PR girls or whatever it was, the phrase, and everybody's talking about whether, how you feel about being called girl and this and that, and we're women and blah, blah, blah. Oh my, stop. I don't, I think we're just so, I'm torn because on the one side, of course we need equal rights. We cannot have other people who don't understand and making laws to what we're going to do with our bodies, and but on the other hand, if you complain about every little thing, nobody listens anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. It's funny you said that. I do. I notice.
I'm going to call you girl. Girl.
Girly. No, it's actually funny that you say that because I actually don't like being called girl. I'm not a girl anymore. Well, I shouldn't say that. I am I just mean that I think
there are so many other things I've been called that girl seems great.
I just mean that again, it comes to, I think, being older and more mature and feeling more confident in my skin. I don't really care what you say, but I want to be a lady. I'm a lady.
Yeah.
I'm,
You're a lady. Yeah. But are you offended?
No, but I definitely hear that when people refer to,
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't, I don't know. I just think that at some point there's
for crying out loud, our show's called Broadscast. We're broad.
I'd much rather you call me a broad, but I don't get offended that easily. I'm just saying that I do notice that as I've matured, that I notice those things because I feel like I've done a lot of work and I've earned a certain feeling about myself.
Sure.
And that is all internal. I don't care really. I don't get mad. It's not a deal breaker, but I do notice I don't
But
know.
I just think that
when I'm referring to people, I refer to women,
of
and,
course,
and
of
ladies.
course.
I would never say, "Oh, my board member, she's this great girl." I wouldn't. She's a kick-ass broad, or she's a great woman,
right?
Because I think,
but at the same time, I think we're complaining about, we being women, about every little thing, that it gets to the point where you try to make a point and nobody's listening anymore. It's like the crying wolf thing. Enough. You're on Facebook or you're on your soapbox complaining about this and this and this and this, that nobody's listening anymore. I have a lot of feelings about a lot of things that are posted, but I have specifically tried to make an effort to not comment on every single one of them. Yeah. So when I do get up on a soapbox, possibly one person will actually listen.
Well, it's funny you say that. It's actually another good segue that we did not plan for.
Wow.
You posted on our Facebook page a link to an article on some entertainment site or something about Chip and Joanna.
Yes. Well, this is going into our broad topics. Hold. Oh, I was going to hit broad topics. Ready?
Oh,
ready? Ready?
And now, broad topics.
I just love to listen to our pal Andrew Bowen.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Well, first of all, Fixer Upper, I'm
I've seen it one time.
Yeah, I know, and you're making that face. I'm literally obsessed with that show and them as a couple. I know that's weird. Here's the thing. If you are just joining us, you're listening to Broadscast with Kim Goldman, Jackie McDougall.
And that's weird.
And we are not, I will speak for myself, I am not of religious persuasion. I grew up Catholic. I don't know why I said that in a very weird way.
That was weird.
Of not over. I don't follow a religion. I grew up Catholic. I have lots of respect for all religions. And Chip and Joanna Gaines are devout Christian. You know, they are.
Is that on their show? I literally have seen their show one time. Is that a part of their show?
Not really. Okay. You know this about them.
But do you know it because of articles? I've seen tons of articles, but the one show that I saw, I don't recall any religious.
Yeah, I don't know that they have ever spoken of it on the show. I cannot say they haven't. But, if the word church came up or God, it's it's in a very natural way, just part of their lives. I did read their book.
Right.
which is crazy because you know how hard it is to get me to read. So they're, you know, they're I would say conservative, right? I have actually considered during the election and such that maybe they were on the side of Trump because they're conservative and they're in Texas, and it's very, very possible. However, they don't speak of this, right? So I could guess or I could wonder, and that's all I would do because they don't confirm that. They don't shove like any sort of beliefs or
I love
ideas.
that you put this much thought into Chip and Joanna.
I love Chip and Joanna.
Yeah.
So, but I love them for a reason. Okay. So anyway, BuzzFeed comes up with apparently the church they go, their pastor believes, does not believe in the gay lifestyle. He's against that. And he, you know,
he was quoted as saying
that
homosexuality is a sin, that he believes that it is a choice, right? And that God, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, that God created the relationship between a man and a woman, that we didn't do that God created that. Like that's basically the genesis of what he, right? That he believes that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So BuzzFeed or whoever it was, like they, I believe it was BuzzFeed who started it, was like, okay, Chip and Joanna Gaines' pastor is anti-gay. What do they think? And
I think it's hilarious that there's news about this, but continue.
Well, I'm surprised actually it took this long because they are conservative. Like it's very clear the way they live their life with their 4 kids, and like I love them.
Right.
Is not. I have I have respect for people, and I feel like Trump supporters and everybody have been getting berated, for being racist, for being anti-gay, for being, and I think there are a lot of people who did vote that way, who you could assume would be all of those things, who aren't, who just felt like that's the direction they had to go for whatever reason. Right. So do I agree with that? I do not. But I'm trying to practice what I preach in trying to understand, their thoughts. So anyway, do you think it's our business or Chip and Joanna are not out there talking about their feelings or their views or their beliefs,
right? And
telling people what they and telling people how to.
Right.
Like they are literally like
that's not their job.
They're making over homes,
right?
You know what I mean? Job. And they're doing that. And so, do you think a celebrity has, it's necessary for them to talk about like?
No, I mean I am. That's why I'm in. Like I don't. And the irony of this, and we did not prepare this. Marky Mark,
yes.
who asked me out a long time ago. As I flip my scarf again, side by. He posted or was quoted somewhere saying that who cares what celebrities think? Shut up. We don't care, because there is a part of me that says I don't care. In the same way that people are pissed off that the Hamilton crew at the end of the show made that speech to Mike Pence, like we paid you to be an actor, we didn't pay for your opinion. I don't know that I necessarily think that way, but like I don't really care what Chip and Joanna think about gay people. Like that's not their job. That's not why I'm tuning in. If they are out there publicly berating and being disparaging,
yes.
and then I would imagine that there's going to be some backlash. But if that's not part of their image, if that's not part of their story, if that's not part of their show,
right?
Who cares?
Right.
What they practice, if they're not being offensive in their like, people are entitled. Listen, it is not what I believe. I don't believe in any anything except anti-terrorism. Like I really knock yourself out, live your life. I don't.
Right.
But. Who cares?
I think it's very unfair, actually, what they're doing to them, because they're just trying to do their job, raise their kids. Like they live how they live. And you know what? I bet people in their community know exactly how they feel or possibly do. But like, it's none of our business. If they're, if they were out there trying, like you said, trying to change people's minds and spew, their own. Well, they can do that too, but I may decide not to watch that show.
Right.
Because I don't. agree with what they're doing. I personally may not agree what they do with their personal lives, but that's not what's on the show.
Right.
And I'm not going to walk into every single local store I go to and try to find out the views of the CEO so I can decide whether, if a store were to go like Target and there's talking about equal opportunity and human rights. And so sure, I'll go to Target and I'll spend way too much money on stuff that I probably don't need.
Right.
I'm good with that. But there's a local car wash or a local health food store that were like against Prop 8, like they were against gay marriage and blah, blah, blah. And I don't go to them because they are using their platform for something I don't believe. And that's how I, use my platform. Right.
Right.
So, but if somebody's just living their life and not trying to, use their platform for religion and politics and this and that, like, I'm not going to go dig for that information.
Right. I think that, it's interesting because as I'm saying it, I know we've had conversations here before where I feel like if you are a public person, that you do have a sense of responsibility in some way to, at least for face value, right? Like to be decent and kind and all those things, right?
Okay. Because
you are in the public. There is a part of me that feels like, here, let me back that up. I don't think that those two personalities should be different, right? Like in my heart of hearts, I feel like whoever you are on television should basically be the same person you are off television. Like in some ways, like I don't want somebody talking to me in an interview lying for the whole time because when they go off camera, they're a totally different person because they just want to increase their fan base or whatever. Like they're lying and purporting themselves to be something that they're not.
Okay.
But that happens. We know this happens. But I guess what I'm saying about Chip and Joanna is like their show is not about equal rights. Their show is not about gay lifestyle, non-gay lifestyle. But do they? I've never watched the show. Do they have gay couples on there? Do they do makeovers for biracial couples? Do they have shows where they have just different minority, or is it all white all the time? Like because there could be something to be said for that. If there is like, and again, I've never seen it. I have no idea. I'm just asking the question. Part of me, I could care less. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. I know you, right as I said, I'm like, oh my God, she's going to correct me. But I don't know why we care about what the pastor, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm so like, goes back to like, I'm stop
but
being
also,
so offended.
We don't always like for people who go to church, like if you're Catholic or you're Muslim or you're Jewish, like just because you may be of that faith doesn't mean that you believe every single thing that happens. And that's where I've struggled a little bit because growing up Catholic and now seeing this new Pope, well, it's not new anymore, but he has, in my opinion, bridged so many, so much conflict and so much.
Although he doesn't want to see a woman in the priesthood.
Oh, okay. But my point being though that things are shifting and things are, and so I can understand if somebody is still Catholic or somebody is whatever religion, because that is what they need in their life, but they don't necessarily agree with 100% of that religion. It happens every single day to millions of people.
So if we're going to get all like spiritual and philosophical about this, there could be, because I struggle with this, if the family is going to a church and they're bringing their kids, I think they've got young kids in the house, right? Chip and Joanna specifically.
Yes, four of them.
Okay. If they're going to a church that is the constantly, I'm assuming constantly, because I can't imagine it's just one sermon. If the feeling in that church and the message from that pastor is that gay people are doing bad things, it is like all the things, and you're reinforcing your belief system, which you are entitled to have. A lot of people believe that.
Right.
Are you then perpetuating and creating inequality and a lack of
But so your support in this church is saying, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I don't know, there are lots of people that walk away and go, you know what? There are lots of Christians and Catholics that will say, I don't believe that. Like my pastor says that. I don't believe. My Bible does not tell me that gay people are bad. Like, and I totally agree and understand that people can separate. I'm a non-practicing Jew. There are parts of my religion that I can get behind other parts. I'm like, no, that doesn't really work for me.
Right.
And so that's for me what the beauty of religion is supposed to be. Like what fills your heart, what fills your home, what are the ethics, what are the morals,
Right.
what are the belief systems. But if you're teaching a belief system that is about intolerance and hate mongering and you know, creating this culture that are bad. Like I have friends that have grown up going to church and they are absolutely against gay people. Like they are absolutely think that it's bad, and they're verbal about it, and it is uncomfortable to be around, and it's all in the name of God. Like, and to me, that's like, oh, that's so bad, but that's their belief system, you know. But if they're not, I don't know what they're going to do with that information. So like Chip and Joanna and their kids may be in a church that the pastor is saying that's bad, 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 and they're like, you know what? I don't believe that. I'm not going to repeat that. I'm going to support, you know, different groups, and I'm going to.
My kids hear views and, you know, beliefs of other kids at school all the time.
Right.
And then they come home and they ask, or they tell me, and then I say, well, this is what I believe. What do you think?
Right.
Like, you know, so it's going to happen. I get when it's coming from somebody like a pastor, it's a little bit different. But he did, Pastor Seibert did respond to, you know, which Fox News is reporting as a horrible attack from Buzzfeed on this topic, which I will say it was kind of.
They're trying to make news out of something that honestly is not newsworthy.
Correct.
I mean,
and yet here
it's
we
the
are
truth.
talking. But he says no, we are not only not anti-gay. Like, dude, say that a little bit more confusing.
Right.
So people have to
I
figure
hate
out.
that double on. Wait,
But
what?
we are pro helping people in their journey to find out who God is and who He has made them to be. So I feel
That's
like
called conversion therapy.
oh God. For us, our heart has always been to love Jesus, preach the word of God, and help people in their journey. So you know what? I've said this before, and I believe this truly. Like, you are not going. Like, I can't. If I meet 100 people in my day, I can't stop and find out what every one of your views are before I decide whether I'm going to talk to you, be your friend, or like, we have to stop. Like, I'm as liberal socially as it comes, but at the same time, I feel like liberals are doing such a huge disservice by calling out every single person who has a feeling or a belief that doesn't agree with yours.
Right. I don't think it's just liberals. I think everybody does that. I think we are
That's
very much, it is. I
exhausting.
think we are very much a society of entitlement, and we think our opinion is the most important. And there is a lack of, reaching over the aisle, so to speak, like on whether it's religion, whether it's no matter what it is. I think we are all so caught up in our own little bubbles.
Yeah.
And I blame the internet. I blame social media for kind of continuing that, because it's just people are negative and nasty, and we are entitled beyond belief.
Yeah.
I have always said to my kid, like, you will accept everyone for their beliefs and their opinions and their thoughts until it is toxic, until it is something that directly like hurts you, because you have a choice. Like, like I have people in my life that I have separated and distanced myself from, because there is an 80% component to their personality that I love and adore, and then there's 20% that I feel really offended by and hurt.
Right.
Because
Is it me?
No, it is not you. But it is because there is a lack of acceptance for other people.
Yes. But it goes both ways.
Yeah, and I'm choosing to not have an acceptance because I think that it's a toxic feeling,
Right.
and I don't want that around me. So that's my choice. So that person and that family is in a compartment that I can keep it contained, and I can pick the beautiful parts, and I can let the toxic parts stay.
Right.
And I know that's confusing, but I don't want to be around someone that talks about like a second class citizen, or like I don't like that. I don't want that around me. I accept that's their life, but I just then have to choose how it's going to impact mine.
I mean, I literally block our president-elect on Twitter because I think that the things he says are so repulsive, right? So there are people in your everyday life, like, believe it or not, life offline, where they may have the same types of beliefs. And as long as you're not spewing them on me, or my kids, or like, I'm going to live my life. Like, so of course, you know, since the beginning of time, we've been going to family dinners. Not your whole family's not going to agree on stuff. Like, you just have to sometimes not talk about that stuff, and you can't just boycott family. You know, you can't boycott your community. However, if like Chip and Joanna, let's go back to that for a second, decided that they were going to respond to this and say, we find the gay lifestyle, I'm doing that in quotes because that's what people like, it's such a weird thing, but anyway, to be wrong, and we are 100% against it, I probably would never watch the show again.
Right.
Because I just don't believe people are choosing a gay lifestyle. That's like, you know.
But see, for me in that situation, it's not about whether or not I'm not even going to argue whether or not I think that it's a choice and all that other stuff. It would be if someone that I was a fan of came out and said something that I was like, oh, that is totally opposite. Like, listen, if someone came out and said, I am love meat, right? And I'm a vegetarian. But if someone came out and says, I love steak, that's not going to be the deal breaker for me. But if someone comes out and says, you know what, I believe that Black people should sit in the back of the bus, and I believe that gays should be burned and they should be that's sin. Like, I'd like click. Like that. Yeah. Because
we're done.
There's something dark in your heart, in my feeling, in my view.
And Mark Wahlberg is right in many ways, I think that, but at the same time, you know, Mark Wahlberg is saying for celebrities to just shut up. Right. So I'm torn actually about that. Like, yes, I agree. He's Catholic, and he's, you know, has been, is it him or his brother? No. Yeah. And so they grew up that way. And like, he still goes to Catholic church, and whatever Mark Wahlberg does is okay, whatever. Do, you know, live your life. Marky Mark, and the Funky Bunch. But the fact that he's not out trying to make everybody think exactly the way he thinks, that's a good thing. But at the same time, when you have a platform like a celebrity does, you know, it is important sometimes to use that for good. And so some people do believe that they are using it for good.
Right. But then it depends on what your version of good is. Like, I don't,
all of our good is different.
Well, that's my point. Like, so for me, there's a part of me that says, I don't want to hear your opinion if it means that you're going to be negative towards another group of people. Like, because it,
but like, say there's an actress out there, supporting unwed mothers, right? That there are a whole group of people who are like, she's using her platform to promote, you know, sex before marriage. Like, it's all perception.
But that's not to me. But to me, in my brain, that's not hurtful. If there is somebody out there
to you,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But if somebody is out there using their platform to, because talking about people as second class citizens or inequality, like, there's hurtful, because you are purposefully trying to keep someone down, right? Talking about unwed mothers, or I know that's single mothers, whatever it is, but like there is a difference. I mean, I think that we can all hopefully,
but there's a difference to us. But there's a difference to us. Like, that's everybody's beliefs are different, and that's the whole point.
But I do think that there is, in some ways, a bit of a difference between the morality of being able to say that a marriage is between a man and a woman, and gay people shouldn't have that right. There is an element of keeping people separate. And
that's because people see marriage as a religious union as opposed to the legal union that it is.
But there is when you say that phrase, there is a separation. There is a hierarchy that comes with that.
Yeah.
So if you're using your platform to talk about marriage between a man and a woman only, and gays shouldn't enjoy that, right? There is a hierarchy that you are using your platform to encourage. And so in that way, I would say I don't want to hear that. Have your belief. I don't want to hear that. But if you're on your stage going, you know what?
Let's support.
Let's support women that have babies outside of marriage. Who's that hurting? Like, who's that? I don't know.
Yeah, that to you. Again, it's all perception. But that's it. That's all we have for today. Can you believe it? So head to broadscast.com and also subscribe on iTunes, because we have some bonus episodes coming up that you are not going to want to miss, and all that good stuff. And that's it. We will talk to you next time.
Bye.
You are listening to Broadscast. For more from the Broads, head to broadscast.com.